Good evening. We begin with breaking news tonight as the Ministry of Health and Wellness has announced one new case of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours, taking the total of infected persons to 810 with 709 recoveries. Continuing with the news tonight, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is urging Jamaicans to adhere to the infection prevention and control measures, as the country has been recording a large number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in recent days.
The infection prevention and control measure that is most emphasized these days, because as you will notice, and as I have repeatedly said, that at any time, the numbers could change unfavorably. And for the last 2 days, we have seen an above normal report of positive cases. Some may say it is too early to say whether or not that represents a trend. But in the management of the pandemic, at the first sign, that is when you start to put in place the measures and take precaution. So like every citizen of Jamaica that is routinely paying attention to the numbers, the government is also concerned.
Prime Minister Holness also said that the country will not act in panic as the government is examining the results and what actions need to be taken in this situation.
We will not act irrationally or in panic. We have always said our actions will be evidence-based, proportionate, or rather proportional, and situationally appropriate. And we will continue along that line. We are examining the results, and we will be determining what action to take in the situation that is appropriate and proportional. So I would urge everyone to follow faithfully and consistently the infection prevention measures. If we follow these rules, follow these protocols, I am certain that we will be able to control the worst of any potential outbreak that could happen.
Still making news tonight, opposition spokesperson on health Dr. Maurice Guy says the spike in the number of positive cases of coronavirus COVID-19 and jump in hospitalizations presents a worrying trend for the nation.
We are particularly concerned about the number of patients who have been admitted to hospital, moving from 5 to 35 in a matter of 24 hours, a serious challenge to our health sector in Jamaica. We are particularly concerned that we might be seeing increased numbers being admitted to the hospital simply because we are picking up cases that have been positive from that time, but the patients did not know of their status, whether they are positive or negative. The fact that they are now only showing up to be positive, one can only imagine the contacts they have made in the communities, despite their being asked to self-quarantine, the length of time that the samples have been out there. In fact, some persons have been self-quarantined for more than 14 days and have not gotten their sample. And they now feel that having not gotten the sample, they can go out and intermingle with the general population.
Dr. Guy also says that he is reiterating his call for pre-testing of passengers, especially those coming from anywhere in the United States, before they board flights to Jamaica, as this must be considered in order to offer Jamaicans at home some level of assurance that their health matters even as the country reopens.
We are calling for all persons coming out of the state of Florida, in fact all states in the United States, to be pre-tested for the coronavirus. The US has become the epicenter of the coronavirus spread across the world, and indeed Florida has become the epicenter for the United States. So we are requiring that. It is only when we can guarantee that all persons arriving are tested, that we can assure our Jamaican population that we will contain the virus and keep the numbers down.
In other news tonight, 48 members of parliament voted in the House of Representatives on Tuesday to extend the state of emergencies in several parishes until September 3. This was the compromise that was arrived at as Prime Minister Andrew Holness had earlier asked the House to extend the emergency measure until October 24. However, opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips suggested a shorter time frame ending on August 25 and before the House settled on September 3. Dr. Phillips expressed his dissatisfaction that the opposition was only told about the decision to extend the SOEs on Monday night, that is yesterday night. The SOEs were slated to be lifted on July 25, and that date had given rise to speculation that a general election would be held shortly after they were allowed to expire. With the House vote, SOEs will remain in force in the tri-parish area of St. James, Westmoreland and Hanover, as well as in the parishes of Clarendon and St. Catherine. SOEs are also being enforced in the Kingston Eastern, Central and Western police divisions. The Prime Minister has commended the SOEs with an overall 13% reduction in serious crimes. Still making news tonight, the newly constructed Cannonball Gate at JDF's Up Park camp was officially opened today. More on this story with Killeen May.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness officially opened the new Jamaica Defence Force JDF Cannonball Gate Up Park camp earlier today. In his address, Prime Minister Holness outlined that this project, which was a collaborative effort, has brought a positive outcome for road users in the area, including the JDF.
This project was undertaken as a joint venture between the Jamaica Defence Force and the National Works Agency. The collaboration between them and China Harbour Engineering, the main contractor, has brought positive results for all road users and indeed the Jamaica Defence Force in this area. The improvements undertaken at the Cannonball Gate are part of a much larger government program for improving the island's infrastructure, in particular the road network. This was proposed as a small project that could have a big impact given the high levels of traffic and congestion in this section of Camp Road and the vicinity. There were too many crashes here, and it was clear that the contributory causes relate to the road layout, which resulted in not only accidents, but insufficient queuing space for cars waiting to enter Up Park Camp through the main gate. And this contributed to significant congestion along the corridor. The objective of the project was to reduce crashes, congestion, and improve travel time for those using and conducting affairs along Camp Road.
Prime Minister Holness also gave a breakdown of the work that was done and the cost of the project.
The overall project cost amounted to US $3.8 million, or Jamaican 5.37 million Jamaican dollars. All our major legacy projects are not just asphalting. This includes new water mains, new sewer mains, and accompanying infrastructure. So there was a partnership between the NWA and the NWC. It included the relocation of utility poles and any conduits that may have been underground. So in effect, what we have done is not just to create a facility for motor vehicles, but what we have done is to improve infrastructure for telecommunications, for electricity, for road traffic, for pedestrian traffic, for water, and for sewage. Not to mention the improvement in drainage, because we've had a culture in Jamaica of building roads and not paying attention to the drainage. In 5 years' time, the road is water damaged. But on this particular project, I'm certain that there was significant engineering design and satisfactory investment made in improving the drainage on this road.
Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
In news from Portland, the police have launched an investigation into the death of a well-known businessman's wife who was discovered with her throat slashed and her body partially burnt at Sherwood Forest in the parish yesterday. The deceased has been identified as 32-year-old Tonianne MacDonald, a businesswoman of Dolphin Cove, Dolphin Bay in the parish, wife of popular businessman Everton Beachy Stout MacDonald. Reports coming into our news center are that shortly after 9 p.m., residents alerted the police after they saw a vehicle on fire just a few kilometers from Dolphin Bay where the victim resided. Upon their arrival at the scene, the fire was extinguished and MacDonald's body was discovered inside the burnt vehicle. The police have theorized that she was allegedly abducted, murdered, and then her body set on fire inside the motor vehicle. In news from St. Anne, detectives have arrested and charged a fisherman in connection with the murder of an elderly man in Stairtown last Thursday. The accused, who has been charged with murder, has been identified as 34-year-old Marvin Demetrius, otherwise called Juki, a fisherman of Roaring River in Stairtown. He has been charged in connection with the murder of 61-year-old Everton Hamilton, also of a Stairtown address. Reports from the police coming into our news center are that at about 9:30 p.m., residents stumbled upon Hamilton's body and summoned them. Upon their arrival, Hamilton's burnt body was seen in a ditch with gunshot and chop wounds. An investigation was launched, which led to the accused being arrested. Still making news tonight, Commissioner of Police Major General Anthony Anderson has launched the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Accelerated Promotion Program. The program, which will see members being promoted to the rank of Deputy Superintendent after a 4-year period, was launched yesterday at the National Police College of Jamaica. Now, the JCF says the program is also aimed at increasing the number of senior officers in the constabulary by promoting rank and file cops after extensive vetting and training. Major General Anderson also stated that the JCF is building rounded police officers who represent a brand, as the JCF wants a force with integrity, a force for good, and a force where the rule of law matters. Continuing with the news, residents of Southeast Clarendon are pleading with the Jamaica Public Service, JPS, for a resolution regarding high electricity bills and the need for streetlights in their communities. More on this story with Tamara Mikhail.
Residents of the Sandy Bay and Cuba Road communities in Clarendon are pleading with the Jamaica Public Service, JPS, to review their high electricity bills and provide proper street lighting within the communities. One community member of Cuba Lane, Camilla Watt, explained what transpired following some residents coming together in an effort to resolve the problem they're facing.
We get up some names and we bring it with a letter to JPS. JPS write us back and say that we would have to take responsibility of some things because we are an independent community. So we would have to fix the road, we would have to do the bushing. If they should fix the road and do the bushing, etc., then we would have to compensate them. They send us some millions of dollars that it would cost. And then when we divide it up by ourselves, we couldn't afford to pay it. So we took to rural electrification. And we went there, they keep putting us off, they put us off. We call in the media, and they came, and still there was nothing done. Different politicians come in, and we put it forward to them, but still there's nothing done.
Some residents, in speaking with our news team, expressed that they have seen significant increase in their electricity bills in recent months.
We used to get at least $10,000, unless 9, then reach at 13, then now at $18,000. Every month it go up. It go down, then it come. Me not use nothing extra. But them not do nothing. Nothing. One of them send them bills, send them bills.
These people are applying for light. They don't want to steal light, they want light. So far, nothing has been done. And these people live there with their children there, they go to school, they work, there's church there, and activities cannot go on because there's no electricity. They had application in 2005, so from the year 2000, JPS has not making any effort to get people the light they need. But when people steal the light, then they want to make a big deal out of it, and they're trying to say that we who are paying our light should pay for them, which we don't think it's fair.
Other residents complained about the lack of proper street lighting within the communities.
You know, we really need of the light because it's civilized time now, and especially in a time like this when crime rate is so high, you understand, and to live in the dark, we don't want that. We are decent, law-abiding citizens. We want to pay our light bill.
Well, we need street lights. We need street lights.
Don't have no street light?
Long time, man. From the day I come, no street light never normally there. So, from there, no street light not there.
Well, kind of scary sometimes because, you know, say, sometimes we come from older bar, me a pen, and you have to come down in a lane, and sometimes and all the while taxi go and come, so we have to walk from out there, so, and a lot of things can happen from out there, so, because only per time people get robbed out there, so. I'd like to ask JPS please if them could have put up like a something around here for we, because I mean, a only per female there around here, and anything can happen when we come on the road.
People's National Party PNP caretaker and candidate for Southeast Clarendon, Patricia Duncan Sutherland, is appealing to JPS and the relevant authorities to step in to assist the residents in reducing their electricity bills and providing street lights in the communities.
Here in Southeast Clarendon, we have a lot of communities that have a problem with light, in that JPS has not run light into those communities. The light runs along the main road, but not into those communities. That, of course, is a responsibility of NESAL that used to be. These communities had done their job with their Citizens Association, written to NESAL. Some of them had gotten the approval to get their light run into their communities. But with the closure of NESAL, after the big scandal at NESAL, they have heard nothing more for over 2 years now, and they are still in darkness. Some communities having run their own light from the road into the community and are paying exorbitant light bills because they are getting so many losses along the line because they can't afford to run the big line, but they are still trying to pay their bills. So it is time now for communities in Southeast Clarendon to get light. Please do not forget the communities of Southeast Clarendon. Cuba Road, Savannah Cross, and there are other communities, Allydowna, are without light, Dampy, and I could name many others. But inside of that, we want to remember it is not just for them to be able to get light in their homes, but to also have some street light, community lighting, because these communities are plagued with crime. And the young ladies and the children are afraid to go home in the night. And sometimes they have to, because they all have to work hard for a living.
For Mello TV News, I am Tamara McHale.
In news from St. James, the Parishes Municipal Corporation kicked off Phase 1 of their 5-phase COVID-19 response program in various communities earlier today. Here is Colleen May with more on this story.
The St. James Municipal Corporation's COVID-19 response program, which is a joint project between the corporation and the UN Habitat, saw members of the communities of Canterbury, Albion Lane and William Street gifted with care packages, face masks and hand sanitizers. The project is expected to benefit over 450 households in the communities. Speaking in the community of Canterbury earlier today, Councillor for the Montego Bay South Division, Richard Vernon, outlined the purpose of the project.
Today we are here to deal with the distribution of care packages and also to take a little tour of the community, to look around and to look at the situation that exists in the community. Even though we already know these situations, we want a first-hand view of it so our stakeholders can see it and know where they are supposed to come on board to assist us. So today we are going to traverse the communities of Canterbury, along King Street, down to Albion Lane, Paradise Row, William Street, Love Lane and its environs. As we look at the situation where bulky waste is concerned, solid waste, as this project also has a part of a component in it where sanitization is a must. This is really about the planning in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We want to try as best as possible to prevent the disease from coming into these communities. As you know, they are densely populated and such an outbreak will be very disastrous for us. So therefore, we will be issuing hand sanitizers today, face masks, especially to our children that will be going back to school in September. And we'll also be doing community engagement. Let me take the time out to thank the UN Habitat, the United Nations, the European Union, who have partnered with us at the St. James Municipal Corporation to make this project a reality.
Mayor of Montego Bay, Councillor Homer Davis, in his address expressed gratitude to his team for executing the project.
The conceptualizing of this project came as a result of requests that we have made to UN Habitat to see how they could assist one of our inner city areas here in Montego Bay. It took us some 4 months, as Dr. Dove has said, to reach to this stage. But it is a point that we have reached that we can say it is a job well done. And I must give my own commendation to the team, Councillor Vernon, Mr. Manning, Dr. Dove, and Mr. Gerald Lee, our CEO.
Mayor Davis further said that the project was also an educational campaign that will bring awareness about COVID-19 and proper waste disposal.
This project today doesn't only confine to care packages. There will be aspect of education as to how you treat your environment, as to how you treat your community. There will be aspect of how we dispose of our garbage. Garbage receptacles will be built up at the top of King Street there, where proper disposal of garbage can be done by the citizens. This project is a very worthwhile project for the city of Montego Bay.
Residents of the Canterbury community were grateful for the packages and said that the program will positively be of benefit to them.
I think it's something good. We uplift the community. It's something that we did expect for a long time, but now it come. So we're grateful at what's going on.
It's a good thing, you know, helping out the community people, especially the elder folks that aren't able to actually, go in town because of the corona. So, this is very essential for them, where they're able to carry and get food and, supporting each other. So that's a really, really good thing that's happening here.
It is giving a great benefit for the community because everybody here, some of them are not working and some of them can't provide as much for their family. So the little that comes will definitely benefit.
Reporting for Mello TV News, I'm Colleen May.
Still making news tonight, Chief Executive Officer, CEO of the National Land Agency, NLA, Elizabeth Stair, says work to produce 20,000 new titles is to commence this financial year. This is to be achieved through systematic land registration, SLR, which should enable the NLA to achieve its mandate of issuing 20,000 certificates of title in 3 years. Mrs. Stair, who is also Commissioner of Lands, says the lowest registration rate for parcels of land is in St. Elizabeth and Portland. There are approximately 350,000 unregistered parcels of land island-wide. Under the system, persons can be duly registered as the legal owners of these properties, and this will create economic opportunities for these persons. Mrs. Stair says a particular area of interest is the generation of titles for land settlement schemes. She added that the recently passed Registration of Titles, Cadastral Mapping and Tenure Clarification Special Provisions Amendment Act 2020 and the Registration of Titles Amendment Act 2020 will ensure that lands can be titled in a more efficient manner. In news from St. Mary, critical works to secure the Tiber River Bridge in Gale are set to start in August. The bridge's deck is currently lower than the existing road level and poses a threat to motorists who continue to access the imperiled structure despite the National Works Agency's NWA's prohibition warnings. NWA's communication manager Stephen Shaw explained that the bridge originally fell after one of the bridge's supports failed during a flood event and warns that the structure has progressively deteriorated. The roadway will remain closed during the period of the work. The alternative route for motorists traveling from Gale towards Dressickey will remain through Farmpen Road to Top Derry and then on to Dressickey. The reverse obtains for those traveling from Dressickey towards Gale. The works, which forms phase 1 of a project to rehabilitate the Tiber River Bridge, is valued at some $95 million. And those were the stories making news. I'll return with the recap. We'll now take a break and then join Christopher Scott with sports.